press star pound.
Now, I would like to introduce to you Sam Kim, who, as he said, is the owner of Liberty Hearing and Health in Libertyville, Illinois. He supports individuals with hearing loss around the country, so it's not just held by his area there in Libertyville. And I'm sure he could do a lot better introducing a little bit about his background and how he came to bring his company up and running. So, Sam, would you take it from here?
Absolutely. Thank you, Carrie, for this opportunity to have a conversation with your organization and God by Your Side members. You know, I learned about this organization from Carrie, I think it was October, right, Carrie? At the Destination Expo, and was just thrilled to be asked to be a part of this mission that you're all on to help hard of hearing children and parents. Simply tonight, I thought I'd have just two simple goals. First was to share some stories and comments to really raise your awareness about the needs of children and the adults who are in the hard of hearing community. And then secondly, very importantly, is to prepare you with some comments and thoughts to really provoke you to take some actions so that you're able to protect, assist, and enhance your family's hearing experience moving forward. So for our conversation today, I thought I'd share really three parts. First is a short story of a lady named Debbie, who is the one that inspired me to launch the company that I'm running. Second is I thought together we could walk through a day in the life of a kid named Jack, a young boy with hearing loss. And I think many of you, as you were introducing, we have a 9-month-old all the way to, I think, Tori, your 15-year-old, I can't remember, a freshman, boy or girl. But I thought we could share a little bit about what a day in the life would look like and talk a little bit about not only the needs but also relevant solutions that you could think about moving forward. And then third is to get you to do some homework after this call. So I'll share with you a little bit more as we wrap up. So I hope my comments will raise some questions and comments that are relevant for your needs. And at the end of my comments, which I think will be about 10-15 minutes, I would love to answer any questions you have and talk about your family's particular situation. So let me begin with a story of a lady named Debbie from Tinley Park, Illinois. Debbie's in her 40s, and she was born deaf in one ear and with severe hearing loss in the other. Debbie does wear now a hearing aid in her right ear. Just imagine Debbie growing up as a child in the late 60s and the 70s, quite different than all the different resources and solutions and groups like God by Your Side. So you could just imagine how different things were back then. So what do you think the level of awareness and the level of availability of assistive devices for the hard of hearing kid like Debbie was like back then? And I think we could probably all guess that it was not very good. And not only were solutions limited, but the technology and the affordability, probably as importantly, was not all that great either. And these limitations really affected children's development. And what I've come to learn over the last couple of years is the level of independence as an adult was impacted as a result of the development period during childhood. And one of the things that we know is that children with moderate, I think many of you said you have children with moderate hearing loss, somewhere between 25 to 30 decibel hearing loss, to severe hearing loss greater than 50 to 70 decibels, that are sometimes undetected or unassisted, are highly prone to difficulties adjusting socially, academically, and later on in their lives professionally. And I think this is probably commonly known amongst this community, but fatigue in children are common because they're trying so hard to hear and understand what's being said in class, at church, to really trying to understand the content, the subtleties. Also, I've seen a pattern of children being misperceived by educators and others as not paying attention or daydreaming in school. Oftentimes they may be stressed in group social settings, especially when there's a lot of simultaneous conversations going on, and there's a stronger tendency for low esteem and self-rejection. If those kinds of hearing losses is not detected and assisted, And what I can tell you, and I hope through the conversations today, parents, is that you could be ensured that there's terrific solutions out in the marketplace, not only for my company, but many others. But I think the biggest challenge is, what are these things? What are the areas that I need to be paying attention to now so that when my child becomes 5 years old, 10 years old, 15, 20 years old, what do I need to be helping to prepare my son or daughter? So Debbie grew up with these, very common challenges, but with a lot of support and assistance from her parents and family and friends. And she later on learned how to read lips and sign. Really has helped her adjust and lead a pretty fully active adulthood. And I should probably tell you at this point, Debbie is my sister-in-law. I've known Debbie for about 15 years. I've been married, we just celebrated our 15th anniversary. And it's Debbie that I've known 15 years, and really in the last 2 years, after I retired from, I ran a large distribution online business. And as I thought about what will be more meaningful to be able to give back, to do something that's more fulfilling, I didn't even think about this side of the need and the service that I could provide, but it was Debbie, that my sister-in-law, that really inspired me and challenged me to do something so that I could, in any small way, help people with deaf and hard of hearing conditions. So our company, as Carrie said, is based out of Illinois, about 15 miles north of Chicago. And our simple mission is to help individuals with three things, is to first and foremost help them protect their hearing. We see so many instances, and the patterns are escalating rapidly with hearing loss from such a noisy environment that we're all part of, whether it's a physical or environmentally induced. Second is to people with hearing loss conditions, to help them assist and improve their hearing capabilities. And third is to enhance their hearing with, we provide about over 1,000 products from many different brands, including but not limited to emergency support products like vibrating and strobing smoke fire alarms, doorbells, alert systems, sound amplifiers. We also provide a full range of custom fit earplugs to block out water for children who love to swim, but they're prone to ear infections, to hunters and professional race car drivers, as well as musicians. So it's really all about how to help assist and, very importantly, to prevent further hearing damage, and for professionals to enhance their performance as it relates to the hearing. And it turns out, the numbers are growing just about every year. Over 40 million individuals in the U.S. alone that have a hearing loss from mild to severe or completely deaf. And it turns out that only 1 out of 5 individuals with hearing loss are aware and use some sort of an assistive device in their daily lives. And I'm not just talking about a hearing aid, but assistive devices, as I mentioned earlier, about doorbell alert systems that strobe lights around the house, or smoke detectors that wake you up via a bed shaker when you're not able to hear the T3 smoke alarms that are going on. And many are leaving themselves unprotected from threats and risks like fire and carbon monoxide. But I think what pains me to see again and again is that people not taking advantage of great technology and solutions that's readily available to just enhance the quality of their daily life. And given the potential learning and social implications for children unassisted, I think it's of significant importance that with organizations like yourselves are continuing to amplify the information and knowledge throughout a wider community. So I think what you're doing is really terrific. And so since opening our business, tremendous learning, not only from professionals around us, but really our customers are educating us every day with stories about themselves, their parents, their children. And this last year has been a terrific and a very deeply profounding change, not only for me, but I should tell you for Debbie as well. And every day I'm so thrilled about making a small difference, and in many ways a big difference in Debbie's life. And let me just share with you, I'm so happy to say that she is today, compared to about 18 months ago, much safer at home with fire and smoke detectors. She's enjoying, it's amazing, after 40-some years, she said, Sam, I have not been able to listen to a TV show without relying on closed caption. So she's got a wonderful neck loop transmitter that conducts sounds of TV and shows wirelessly directly into her right hearing aid. And she's able to run and listen to her iPod wirelessly through her hearing aid. And one of the favorite things that she always tells me is she loves to talk on her cell phone now via Bluetooth cell phone amplifier that transmits, again, straight into her hearing aid on a TCO setting. So when I asked Debbie and many of her hard of hearing friends, I was able to attend one of the high school reunions, Thornton High School way down south, where she attended as a child. And I asked them why they were, many of them were not using these assistive devices. And we had a big kind of a show at the reunion as a sponsor, and the conversations were really startling to me as to why these are not new technology, if you will, that was just invented, and yet why were so many people for the first time finding out about these kinds of solutions and technology. And one of the most common response was, gee, Sam, I just didn't know that these products were available. And probably the second most consistent response was, I didn't know who really to turn to get the advice and to be able to select the right kinds of solutions that would, work best for them. And the thing that struck me, and I'm still in the learning mode on this question, or the comments that I've heard, is that actually many of them have asked their audiologists for help and advice, but just years would go by without a closure on some of the questions, like Debbie would ask for the last several years her audiologist, what solution can you provide me so that I could listen to an iPod or talk on my cell phone easily when I'm driving or doing other things without having to put the phone to her ear. And I've had a chance to reach out to quite a few audiologists and ear, nose, and throat professionals that many of our customers actually, in my conversations with them, and asking is, how did they find out about us? And how is it that at this moment in time you're procuring these kinds of products and you're struggling with selecting the right things? And certainly many of the audiologists that I spoke with are very knowledgeable about these things. They do a great job educating their clients, but some of the audiologists that I spoke with, I realized are not really spending the time that I think they could to help their clients. I mean, their expertise is in testing and dispensing hearing aids, but when it comes to solutions that help those that are severe or deaf or mild to moderate hearing loss, I think there's a huge gap in terms of information and product solution knowledge. So I know we got some work to do. So in the last really about 12 to 14 months since we launched our business, we served thousands of customers, individuals and businesses across, I think we're up to about 22 different foreign countries. It's amazing. We do a lot of deliveries out to Australia, Canada, South America. UK is a very active part of the country, part of the world that we service, and we're really excited about continuing to serve the needs of the community throughout the world. So it's with great appreciation that we get to collaborate with groups like you to get the word out and just continue to raise awareness and raise confidence in people that solutions do exist that can make a big difference in everybody's lives. So let's kind of talk a little bit about a day in the life of let's say a young boy named Jack. Let's say for this discussion, say he's moderate to, let's say, severe, about 50 to 60 decibel hearing loss. So I've kind of put together maybe about 7 or 8 scenarios that Jack may encounter in the course of a day or a course of a week, and see if these resonate with you. And I'd like for you to just grab a pen and paper if one's nearby. And I'd like for you to just kind of write down and say, Sam, as you go through these scenarios, I'm covered, for for Ethan, for any of your kids, see if you're covering the needs and that not only you've identified those, but you feel confident and comfortable that my son or daughter has what they need. So, scenario 1. So let's say there's a fire or a carbon monoxide leak middle of the night. How is Jack to know that's happening if they're not able to hear high frequency sound? That typical fire alarms or smoke alarms in the U.S., it's called the T3 signals. So that's a scenario 1. Second scenario, Jack goes to bed, and even though Jack wears a hearing aid, typically it's not very comfortable to sleep with him, so they take it off. And so they're not able to hear as well. And in the morning, when Jack has to wake himself to either go to school or work, how is Jack to know that it's time to get up? We typically, for the hearing able, uses an alarm clock. And so that's scenario 2, a simple scenario. Third is, like many young kids, Jack, even though it's not easy, just loves to listen to music. My wife Betsy used to describe Debbie would just lie in her bed and just kind of rock with her arms to her chest, just listening to the beat of the songs, but never really could hear. And so this, in 2012, there is technology, but let's just say Jack. How is Jack to listen to an iPod, let's say? Is there anything, do you think, that's available for Jack? Scenario 4, let's say Jack's in school. Jack's sitting in front of a classroom so that he can hear the teachers, but does have difficulty because typically hearing aids are able to hear what's in front of them, but they're not very good about being able to hear what's on the side or from the rear. Like if you're, let's say, driving a car, if somebody's talking behind you, hearing aids are not really designed for picking up, and especially when there's a group discussions going on. And in this scenario, Jack finds himself wanting to participate in group discussions and engage, but finds himself without realizing kind of distancing away and quieting down because it is really hard to understand when multiple individuals are talking at the same time. And so question is, are there solutions that would help Jack in a group discussion, whether it's a classroom or in a church, to be a part of that discussion? So I'm curious as to what you say to these 4 scenarios. A couple more scenarios here. So let's say after school, when he's home by himself, he has a hard time hearing someone knocking or even ringing the doorbell. As a parent, do you feel comfortable and safe, having Jack at home? I'm curious as to if you have any solutions in your home. And then we'll talk a little about solutions that you may have prepared when you're actually traveling. What about when Jack, in these scenarios that I described, whether it's smoke alarms or carbon monoxide or door knockers or doorbell when you're traveling at grandpa's house or on a family vacation? What about when a phone's ringing at home and no one's home? How can Jack hear the phone's ringing? As I mentioned about Debbie, are there options for Jack to watch TV and hear, let's say, YouTube on the PC without relying on closed caption? And this next scenario, I've heard again and again from more of the adults is that, like Debbie, she said that she loves movies. She said it's so rare for her to go to a movie. And there's been so many instances where other parents and kids are invited to a movie, and she oftentimes declines because she's not able to hear any sound inside of a theater, even with a hearing aid. And lastly, Jack loves water, loves swimming, but is plagued chronically with ear infections when water enters his ear canals while in the pool or in the lake, and hates those silicone gooey earplugs that doesn't work or fall off all the time. And so are there solutions for Jack to be able to block out the water to reduce the chances of infection? So after my comments, I would love to get some of your feedback and your comments about kind of your sense of awareness or your sense of preparation as a family for some of these conditions that I mentioned. And so these are questions and issues that I hear often My team gets calls on a regular basis, whether it's about their grandparents or their kids, or even for themselves, as to what kinds of different solutions and why one may be different or better than something else. So we get these kinds of scenario calls on a constant basis. And I know that many of you probably have faced these questions and have addressed them already, both standard as well as creative solutions. So we'd love to hear your experiences in not only locating them, but how you're able to procure those kinds of solutions for your family. But what I do know is that there are lots of families, including my sister-in-law until a year and a half ago, had these conditions on a daily basis, but never really knew where to turn to and know how to get these kinds of solutions installed in their daily lives. So grab a pen and write down my contact information. I would love to help in any way I can, individually or in smaller groups. My email is sam@libertyhealthsupply.com, and our website is libertyhealthsupply.com, so www.libertyhealthsupply.com. Our phone number is 800-991-6207. And please feel free to contact us in any way. Go to our website. We have a variety of different resources, but also products that are organized around different conditions and scenarios and needs. And also, if you send me an email referencing this conversation and your address, we'll be happy to send you our 2012 Assistive Product Solutions Catalog. I think we have about just about 1,000 products and a listing of the solutions that are, I think, very relevant to many of the scenarios that you may face. So let's talk about your homework a little bit here. I thought I'd give you 2 assignments over the next week or so. First one is over the next week, just take a kind of a notepad and start observing and writing down things that are of safety-related conditions that you find your family, your sons or daughters, and protection issues for and your child, both at home but also outside of home, such as schools, churches. If you recently have gone on a vacation, or he or she has had a sleepover at a friend's or a family member's home, or if you have a vacation moving forward, just kind of jot down things that are safety related or protection related for somebody with mild, severe, or complete hearing loss. Second part of the homework is to observe and write down activities that your child is engaging in, and he or she likes to do them, but you're sensing that they're having less than ideal experiences. Like I mentioned about Jack or my sister-in-law Debbie, whether it's music, watching TV, going to the movies, or participating in Sunday school, whatever those things are, write down what you observe and what you think these activities are, whether they're enjoying it less than what you think is ideal, or you may realize that, wow, there's a lot of activities that I think my son or daughter would enjoy, but they're just reluctant to engage in those because of the condition that they're facing with hard of hearing, hearing loss. So that's your homework for the next 2 weeks. And if there's any part of that that you're not able to say, I've got taken care of, or if you see some gaps in your knowledge, informational needs, or any resources, first and foremost, I hope that you have a reliable audiologist or ENT specialist that you could go to. And there's a lot of resources available, but certainly in any small way that we could help provide the right solutions, but also as importantly, any other resource that we could refer you to so that you're able to get the relevant information or resource or solutions that you need. Now, what's on your list may be different, obviously, based upon the age, activities that your child may be in, whether it's sports or academics or others, and they may fluctuate as they grow up and begin to try different experiences. But I think it'll give you a real good starting list of action items to address, again, with your audiologist or with a guy by your side, mentors, and resources like us. And as I mentioned earlier, please feel free to leverage or use any of the contact methods that I shared with you earlier if you have any questions about it. So Carrie and the team, those are just some of my prepared comments and thoughts that I wanted to share. And I'd like to just open up the call for any questions or comments on your experiences that was provoked by this conversation. So thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Sam. I know one of the reasons, aside from Guide by Your Side and knowing that we really wanted somebody to share with us a little bit more about assistive technology, was for my son Jack, having him be responsible for waking up in the morning for school. And so Sam and I talked about what was available and, the options, and then, of course, sharing them with Jack and seeing what he wanted or what was comfortable with. And it has made a world of difference. We purchased an alarm clock that has a vibrating piece to place in the bed under the mattress, and actually we put it under his pillow because he's a heavy sleeper. But that works really well, and then it also reads the T3 signal from the smoke detector. So if there was ever an instance where he was sleeping and the smoke detector went off, then the alarm clock would read that signal and set off the vibrator, as well as the very loud signal that it has as its alarm. So that has made such a difference for us and for Jack's independence.
Yeah, I think for parents, and I'm glad to hear that your son's enjoying that. And the thing that I see, kind of the top priority list for parents is to protect and provide safety and the tools for the child to develop. But what I see, a lot of the individuals that are with the condition, that what I hear and sense is they really love a sense of independence. And whether it be something as simple as an alarm clock, simple as to be able to hear the doorbell, it's amazing how many individuals with hearing loss certainly have a phone, but they're not able to use the phone. And that story that I shared earlier about at Thornridge High School, that reunion that I went to, I'd say there was maybe about 30 to 40 individuals there that we spent lots of time together on. And there were many individuals for the first time was able to have it's called an ear loop that kind of sits on your ear right next. It's a very small, thin kind of a hook that goes right next to the hearing aid that conducts magnetically into the hearing aid, everything that they're hearing on a telephone, so without having to put it on their ear. And it was incredible to see their facial expressions, and they're 40, almost 50-year-old individuals that are hearing and experiencing that for the first time. So those kinds of stories are terrific. So what are the experiences or any challenges that anything that I could comment on or share?
Do you have an actual location where you sell things, or is it an internet business?
We do have a location, and I don't know if you're familiar with Libertyville, Lake Forest area. There's a real wonderful place called Lamb's Farm, and we are off of the 94 Expressway, off of an exit at 176. We're literally about 3 blocks from there. And so Carrie has visited our facilities, and so we don't have everything that we sell all in our warehouses here, but we have many of them. We're able to bring the stock in from 3 different distribution locations that we have throughout the country. So we do online. We have a store. We also have a direct sales team that we're building. And so, for example, Jeannie is able to go out to different assisted livings or schools or churches. We even go to police departments to help them protect their hearing. And so we have people that could travel to your locations if you have small group gatherings and things like that too.
As far as schools go, what other things are available besides an FM system?
Yeah, the more and more schools. Are you talking about? Is your son or daughter in like elementary, like kindergarten through 8th, or in high
Yes,
school?
second grade.
In second grade.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know if your school is equipped? Typically, groups like CEDO and others are able to advocate for kind of loop systems inside of the classrooms or in schools. Are you aware of any of those kinds of kind of systems that are built inside of the school buildings by any chance?
No, I wouldn't assume that there's not, because nobody has said that there is.
Yeah, and so more and more schools, and this is something that you could bring up as a question with your board as well, maybe when they have a quarterly board meeting, is to ask that question. And if there is and the American Disabilities Act especially, I think it's terrific to hear about its recognition about the hearing loss community. Yes, there's visual mobility, but more so than ever, the hearing, hard of hearing community is getting more and more recognized and supported. So that may be a question you could bring up, because there are great solutions that are available to be built inside of places like schools or any place of gathering. And you'll see that many theaters, for example, like movie theaters, AMC is one of those large national chains that are getting much more caring about people with hearing conditions. And so they transmit what they call 95 kilohertz signals. So for example, we have earphones that you could wear or take to a movie theater, and it'll transmit right, literally, if you don't have a hearing aid, it'll transmit straight into your ears to be amplified. Or if you do have a hearing aid, we have neck loops or ear hooks or T-coil transmitters. And so you could leverage some of the systems that's already built in. But if they don't have any of those, and I think you mentioned other than FM systems, there's a lot of different, those kind of conversation personal amplifiers that the teacher or the instructor could be using in concert with the student. And we have in our catalog and our website a variety of different solutions for kind of buildings and institutions as much as personal devices. And we could help you, with that a little bit more if you like.
I recently read something about the, I think they're called loops or rings or whatever, that they were in fashion in the 70s, so to speak, being used and kind of went to the wayside, and now they're coming back into use. Is that the same thing that you're talking about? Yeah,
very similar. Okay. And the technology has gotten simpler, I think prettier. It's not like one of those big, things hanging around your neck and things like that. They're very inconspicuous. And also the technology has, it's still very analog based, but certainly with the digital technology, the digital aspect, Bluetooth transmission are also starting to become prevalent. And so, but many hearing aids, if your child wears a hearing aid, depending on when and how much you spend, it could be digital Bluetooth enabled, or it could just be analog with a T-switch, if you will. And so there's different technologies that work with different kinds of technology that's in the hearing aid.
If it's a digital hearing aid, is it automatically Bluetooth enabled?
No. Digital hearing aids are great because it hears the sound and kind of filters out what's noise, and then really amplifies what speech or whatever is the most important part of the sound that gets transmitted. If your son or daughter has hearing loss at the higher frequency level, it takes the higher frequency and digitally transfers that to be lower frequency, so that even though they're not able to hear high frequency, it is kind of retuned to be lower frequency, so they're able to hear, maybe not exactly from the source, the way it's meant to be heard, but in the way that the individual could hear. So digital hearing aids are, I think, terrific. But the Bluetooth part of it, with the digital hearing aid, is that the Bluetooth is the means by which you are able to connect to an iPhone, for example. It is a means by which you could connect with, like, an amplifier. So you could just have a amplifier in your hand or just clip to your belt, and it'll pick up the sounds from the environment and then Bluetooth transfer into your hearing aid. So digital and Bluetooth could be together or could be independent part of the technology for the hearing aid.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So earlier I mentioned these 7 or 8 scenarios. I welcome your comments about, hey Sam, every one of those scenarios we've thought about and we got it covered, versus did any of them kind of strike at you as never thought about that or have thought about it, I haven't done anything? Love to hear your comments and stories about that.
Hey Sam, can we bring our children over to your site to test any of the equipment that you sell?
Oh, absolutely. And we have a kind of a demo room. It may not be the prettiest thing, but it is a place where you could sit down. And you know what would be ideal is if you give us a heads up and say, you know, my child is a 13-year-old, and these are the areas that we're interested in testing out different things, that what we could do is kind of prepare for your visit and have the right kinds of sample testing products available for them, if it is something that we don't have readily on hand. So we could do something like that. But absolutely, you're welcome to spend, you know, 10 minutes to an hour or more if you like, and try out different things.
Are you open on weekends?
We are not. We're typically open Monday through Fridays. Someone's usually here about 7 in the morning, 7:30 to about 5:30. However, I said we're not open on weekends, but if circumstances require that we need to make a special exception for somebody because that's the only time, we'd be happy to do something like that as well. So just give us a call and ask. The only thing we could say is maybe no, right? But we'd be happy to accommodate wherever possible. Absolutely.
Sam, this is Carrie. I would love to hear a little bit about travel solutions. You know, I haven't even really given that thought. I think mostly because when we do travel, he's with us. So if something were to happen with a smoke alarm or something going off, you know, we'd be able to kind of guide him. But obviously they grow up and they travel without us. And if there was something maybe missing that I could start even utilizing now, you know, how is it easy or what is there to adapt to in a hotel room?
Yeah, there's probably,
Sorry,
go ahead,
traveling aside from just, I guess, is there anything else I need to think about besides tools to help them wake up and tools to access smoke signals if that wasn't a concern? Or are there other things, too, to consider when traveling?
Yeah, I think, you know, probably the 3 most common is, and it's not just, you know, traveling on a vacation. It could be, you know, Jack going over to sleep at a friend's house, you know, as kids are more having those kinds of sleepovers and things like that, or they may be going to a camp, things like that. And so, you know, traveling kind of wake-up alarm systems, those are very, very common, and we provide a lot of those to our customers. Second one, as you mentioned, is either kind of a live tone alarm, or we have a device called Safe Awake in case of emergency like that. And the third is like a doorbell alert system. And this is if you're traveling and if you're out and your son or daughter, if they're old enough, is able to stay in the room if somebody's knocking on their door or something. But also, one thing that you may want to just put down in your mental note is anytime you travel, and if you're going to any hotels, and the American Disabilities Act is requiring, I can't remember when the exact effective date is, but it starts this year, is to have, depending on how many beds or rooms that they have, kits that is made available for individuals or families that is requesting a kit to be temporarily given to the patron so that they're able to prepare themselves in case of emergency or conveniences like that. And we're seeing more and more hotel rooms be equipped with those kinds of alert devices even built into their facilities. So those kinds of alerts, whether it be phone, doorbell, are very commonly needed and used. Probably, I'd say those are probably the most common ones that we get requests for.
Thank you.
Are there any particular part of like traveling outside of the home that you found difficulties in or gaps in solutions that come to mind?
I would say, like you had mentioned, I never even thought of the whole sleeping over point. And even though that I hoped that wherever he slept over, they would care for my child and make sure that he was accounted for. But sometimes in the heat of the moment, that might not happen. So that's a great point. And again, like you said, when they're old enough to stay in the hotel room by themselves, the knocking at the door and hearing that. Right now at home, if somebody comes to the door or rings the doorbell, he typically doesn't pick up that sound. And the only way he does know is if the dog goes barking or running towards the door. He picks up on the environmental signals.
Another one that's a real popular amongst young adults and children is this brand of, it's called VibraLite. I don't know if any of you heard of a watch. It's called VibraLite. And those are very, very popular. And they come in different bands, you know, pink flowers to camouflage to for swimmers, waterproof. And there's probably about 20 to 30 different style stainless analog to digital. So that may be something to think about as well as your child becomes more and more independent. And so instead of a beeping alarm on a watch, these all vibrate to alert them. And it gives them, you could set, you know, consistent, repeatable in the morning if they want to wear it, you know, not only during the day but in the evenings as well. So that's another one that may be more of a convenience versus a safety, but a very, very popular one.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I have a question. This is Tori, and I have a 15-year-old who's just starting driver's ed, and I was wondering if you have any...
Lucky you.
Yeah. You know, any tips on that or any things that I should be looking at?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Tori, nothing immediately jumps out as these are one or two things that that may be relevant while he or she is driving, but I'm going to make a note of that, and I'll provide some follow-ups about what may be. Yes. Yeah, I've not come across a set of solutions that could help easily, other than, you know, certainly I don't even want to mention cell phone use because it shouldn't be.
And no, you know, not streaming the radio into his hearing aids, which he wanted to try while he's driving. Yeah. But I was just curious if there's anything out there that we're learning with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. I think there could be something about what comes immediately to mind is how would they be notified if there's an ambulance or a fire truck coming down the intersection? How would they know that that's happening? That was the first thing that
they know, right, unless you're by the intersections that have the flashing lights.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to make a note of that, Tori.
Okay.
And if you would just send me an email with
I'm
your
definitely
name,
planning to send you an email.
I'll definitely do some follow-ups on that for you. Great question.
That's a great question. I'm a couple years away from that, Tori, but, you know, it's still a worry.
Comes at you in a hurry.
Yes.
Yeah. But, you know, I've got an eighth grader, and speaking of driving, did a high school orientation as well as a fifth grader. But earlier we were talking about the vibrating alarm clocks. When we equipped Debbie, by the way, she's my best tester. She gives me the thumbs up or thumbs down, and if she says this is too complicated or not simple enough, we do something about. But it's interesting, even the kids that are hearing abled love these kinds of vibrating, you know, shakers and so on. And so even if they have siblings and other, that's very relevant for them as well, and makes it common for all the siblings together.
Yeah, that's nice, so that it doesn't look as different.
Exactly. Yeah, so moving forward, things that are, what I love is protection and independence. And so we continue to search out for gaps. If there isn't a product today or a solution, like, Tori was asking about an ambulance, or I think if there's got to be a proper solution for that. If not, Tori, we're going to do some work to probably bring one of those to market. Yes, please, if there are areas of gap, areas of need that's evident to you, but it's not readily known, put us to homework, and we'll see what we can do. There's great manufacturers that we work with as well that are always looking for improvements in what they have to do.
Excellent. Are there any other questions for Sam or situations?
My name is Karina, and I do have something that just came up about driving, and if anything if there's anything not available when you're driving. And I have a son that has microtia atresia, which is bilateral, and I have unilateral. And I do have a problem when I'm driving. I'm able to hear from my left ear, and obviously we drive on the left side. And I cannot hear from my right side. So I always have a hard time being able to listen to my kids, or like one of them is talking to me, or even just to be able to hear the passenger on my right side. So I do find that even like in the summer it's easier when I'm driving, when I'm able to hear the ambulance or the fire truck, or it helps with the traffic lights that you can see, the flashing lights, and you know that it's coming, but it's just sometimes hard for me. I don't have a hearing aid on my right side, but it's just sometimes it's hard for me to even figure out where it's coming from. And
do you have a hearing aid on your left side?
No.
Do you wear a hearing aid on your left side?
No, I do not. On my left side is normal hearing. My right side is the one that I don't even have an ear canal, so I cannot hear. So I don't even have a hearing aid at all.
Well, here's what I have found, and we don't provide the hearing aid themselves. We allow that for audiologists and hearing aid dispensers to do. But what I have consistently, I've come across this situation when they're asking, and when I've talked to the audiologists and so on, what they typically recommend is somebody like yourself to wear a hearing aid on both ears, and they're, it could be in the ear canal completely or over the ear, and they're getting less and less conspicuous, is on your abled hearing, on the left side, you'd have a hearing aid. On the right side, you would have a hearing aid, but it is not for the purpose of conducting sound or amplifying into the right ear. All it does is detect sound and transmits through the bones of your face, skeletal, or it could be Bluetooth to the other side that's hearing abled. And so it helps you hear from the right side, from a directional. So I've heard that solution approach very commonly. I don't know if you've considered that.
No, I mean, we're talking about almost 30 years ago, it's like there wasn't even, I never used a hearing aid. I never came across this, I don't know, it was different times, so everything was different. I mean, so I just got used to living.
Well, Phonak and Starkey, those are some of the brands that specialize in the hearing aid side, but there's terrific hearing aid solutions that'll help you if you're abled in one or not. Another is if you have, hearing loss in higher frequency or lower. And so earlier we touched briefly about digital hearing aids. Those are really good to be tuned and adjusted for special conditions like that, whether it's left or right or different frequency ranges.
Yeah, I definitely do want to look more into it because, like I said, my son is completely deaf, and without the hearing aids, he's moderate to severe. So I definitely do want to look more into it. You know, there's even like if he's only 4 years old, but like if I go traveling, I travel a lot, going back and forth, and if I have the TV on or something in the car, it's even hard for him, you know. I've been trying to figure out what to use for him so he's able to hear the TV and not hear the interference of the wind, even if I have the windows closed. Because that overrules of what you're listening. So.
Does he wear some sort of a hearing aid type of a device?
Yeah, he wears the Baja.
Okay. Yeah, they're.
Conductor.
And so, again, as I mentioned, we could talk, you know, offline as well. If I don't know the answer, again, as I mentioned, I'd be happy to, you know, do some homework together with you. But there are a lot of solutions that first picks up, because a lot of the hearing aids, as I mentioned, is tuned for speech. It's not very good at, you know, taking other types of sounds like TV sounds and others. And there are solutions like we have these Mino devices that are digital, as well as these things called, simpler devices called pocket talkers that are externally able to hear. They could be on your belt clip or something, and would listen to the sound, and then it'll transmit that sound, whether it's amplified or converted into the hearing aid, rather than relying on the hearing aid to do all that work. And you can't do that much work inside of a small hearing aid, but they're getting better. But there's a lot of solutions that work in concert with the hearing aid that may be relevant for your son.
Yeah, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank Sam for being on the call tonight, for helping us and kind of opening our eyes to what we may need and what possible situations we might need to look at making some adjustments to make it easier for our children and have them be more successful and safe. So, again, thank you so much, Sam, for being on the call. And for everyone who has joined us, again, if you have any questions and you have Sam's information, if you, for some reason, don't remember or don't have Sam's information at a later date and you want to get in contact with him, please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to connect you. And again, this recording will be available tomorrow, so if you want to listen to it again at a later date, please just let me know and I will email you the link to the recording. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks a million.
Bye-bye.
Great.
Yeah.
When's the next conference call?
The next call is on, let's see, March 12th.
And is that about the Institute?
It is.